Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 3 of our Vulnerability Chaining Masterclass. Today we delve into System Prompt Leakage and Control Bypass, a critical piece of the AI security puzzle. If you haven't watched Episode 2 on improper output handling leading to XSS exploitation, pause and add it to your queue now. It lays the groundwork for the escalation we'll see today. Throughout this episode, we'll illustrate how attackers turn hidden prompts into blueprints for precision jailbreaks. Before we get technical, a quick but important disclaimer. Everything demonstrated here is for educational and defensive purposes. Our aim is to raise AI security awareness. Always obtain proper authorization before testing systems, follow ethical guidelines, and practice responsible disclosure. As we dissect these vulnerabilities, remember, we are shining a light on weaknesses so the community can build stronger defenses, never to cause harm. Having set the stage, let's unpack the first piece of the puzzle: how simple reconnaissance turns into a potent threat. The journey begins with the reconnaissance trap. System prompt leakage transforms a black box into a white box, where attackers can see exactly how a model is configured. They move from guessing to targeting with surgical precision. Attackers follow a chain. First, they leak the prompt to extract hidden instructions, then infer the logic to map guardrails, roles and vulnerabilities, craft a targeted bypass, trigger tools to abuse capabilities, and finally, exfiltrate data. The key insight: leakage is the reconnaissance phase that makes control bypass possible. To address the threat, we must understand what prompt leakage entails and why it's so damaging. What exactly is system prompt leakage? It's the exposure of hidden instructions used to steer an LLM. A blueprint showing defenders filtering logic, roles, and business rules. The core principle is that system prompts are not secrets. Assume any determined attacker can extract them. Leakage reveals filtering rules, exposes roles and permissions, and uncovers proprietary logic. Once leaked, the odds of a successful attack rise sharply. Don't embed credentials or critical authorization in prompts. Treat them as if they're public. Let's explore the techniques adversaries use to pry open that map of instructions. How do attackers pull off these leaks? They use direct queries, simply asking the model to print its previous instructions. Translation exploits foreign languages or encodings to bypass filters. Obfuscation hides extraction commands inside code or invisible characters. Multi-turn crescendo attacks gradually coax the model into revealing its rules. Context hijacking tricks the model into assuming a higher privilege persona. And indirect injections hide malicious instructions in external documents processed by the model. In short, prompts will leak, so design controls with that assumption. To see the real-world consequences of such methods, let's examine a prominent case study. A real-world example underscores the danger. In February 2023, a Stanford student used a simple injection to trick Microsoft's Bing chat into revealing its entire system prompt. By instructing the model to ignore previous instructions and output its hidden text, the attacker exposed Bing's internal codename Sydney, safety guidelines, operational logic, and knowledge cutoff dates. The exposure allowed adversaries to craft precise bypasses. The lessons are clear: assume prompts are public, never rely on obscurity for safety, and keep business logic out of the context window. This single leak turned a black box system into a white box target. Now that we've seen leakage in action, let's revisit the chain it enables, step by step. Let's map out the vulnerability chain. After an attacker leaks a system prompt, they engage in reconnaissance, analyzing the instructions to map guardrails, roles, and tools. Next, they craft a tailored jailbreak that targets specific rules discovered during recon. They then abuse the system to bypass controls, calling internal tools, accessing APIs, or elevating privileges. Finally, they exfiltrate data or perform unauthorized actions. At each step, the blueprint from the leaked prompt guides the attack, increasing its success rate. Next, we'll break down the specific bypass techniques enabled by this chain. Knowing the system prompt lets attackers move from brute force to precision. They practice guardrail targeting. For example, if the prompt says "do not discuss politics," they ask about governance in hypothetical alien societies. Through role inversion, they override a persona like helpful assistant with a stronger role such as chaos GPT. They perform classifier evasion by rephrasing requests to bypass keyword filters. They engage in tool misuse, instructing the model to send data via built-in email tools, and even permission bypass, simulating administrative context to view logs. These techniques demonstrate how the leak enables a broad spectrum of abuses. What happens when attackers push these tactics further? Let's look at advanced chains. System prompt knowledge also powers complex vectors. Think of a Russian doll injection, where nested payloads survive through multiple processing stages. An innocuous summary hides a hidden tag that triggers remote code execution downstream. Indirect rag poisoning embeds white text instructions in documents so that when the model retrieves them, it executes a malicious command. Memory persistence poisons the model's long-term memory by instructing it to store false rules, altering future interactions. And agent and plugin abuse tricks the model into misusing legitimate tools, like deleting files by exploiting knowledge of tool definitions. Each scenario shows how a leak multiplies attack possibilities. Given these threats, why should executives and business leaders care? Let's quantify the risks. System prompt leaks aren't just technical curiosities. They carry serious financial, legal, brand and operational risks. Breach response costs average US $4.45 million, with AI-related token spikes adding to the bill. Legal liabilities include privacy violations, contract breaches, and compliance fines. Brand damage stems from viral screenshots, lost trust, and market valuation drops. Operationally, the aftermath involves complex forensics, downtime, and burnout. The shadow AI factor is especially worrying. Unapproved tools increase leakage risk by threefold. These figures make it clear that leadership must invest in proactive defenses. To build a strategy, organizations must first understand how their own employees interact with AI tools. Recent data exposes how data sharing habits and shadow AI exacerbate risks. 77% of employees admit to pasting sensitive data into AI tools, often leaking source code, PII, and strategy documents. Only 13% of organizations report AI breaches, while 79% don't know or lack visibility, a sign of blind spots, not safety. Shadow AI is rampant. 65% of users rely on personal accounts, 45% on unapproved tools, and only 30% use sanctioned platforms. Convenience often trumps security, creating a behavioral gap. Recognizing these statistics helps organizations prioritize culture change alongside technical controls. Let's shift to proactive defenses, starting with securing the model's inputs and outputs. To defend, treat the LLM as untrusted. Start with input controls. Sanitize and normalize inputs by stripping invisible characters and enforcing length limits. Detect jailbreak patterns using classifiers like LlamaGuard and PromptGuard. Segregate untrusted content with clear markers so the model doesn't execute hidden commands. On the output side, enforce strict schemas and validate them. Redact PII and secrets with DLP tools, and perform groundedness checks against trusted sources. These perimeter controls prevent simple leaks from turning into bigger problems. Beyond the perimeter, we need layered defenses that manage access, isolation, and monitoring. Next, build layered defenses. Apply privilege controls with least privilege tokens and never embed secrets in prompts. Require human-in-the-loop approvals for high-impact actions like deleting data. Use isolation by separating chains and validating outputs at every boundary. Block outbound connections to unknown domains to thwart exfiltration. Finally, enable monitoring. Capture structured logs, implement anomaly detection for unusual prompt patterns and spikes, and automate rate limiting or suspensions for abusive behavior. No single layer is sufficient. Combine these controls for depth. Now let's distill these strategies into a set of core lessons for securing the entire chain. Looking across the chain, the lessons are straightforward. Leakage equals recon. Prompts are not security controls. Treat them as public information. Validate every hop. Each handoff in a multi-chain system could carry an injection. Adopt defense in depth by combining sanitization, redaction, least privilege, and monitoring. Finally, externalize controls. Keep critical logic and permissions out of the LLM context and enforce them in deterministic code. Remember, hiding the prompt is security through obscurity. Architectural design is the real defense. Armed with these principles, let's look at how organizations can implement them over time. Security is a journey. In the first 30 days, implement input validation, output sanitization, secure system prompts and block lists for known injection patterns. By 60 days, roll out least privilege access, deploy real-time monitoring, establish chain isolation and secure API gateways. Within 90 days, conduct red team exercises, implement automated vulnerability scanning, develop incident response playbooks, and integrate LLM defenses into your enterprise security architecture. Following this timeline helps organizations build lasting resilience. As we wrap up, let's reflect on the journey and set the stage for what comes next. We've unpacked how system prompt leakage sets off a chain reaction, from reconnaissance to control bypass and beyond. If you haven't watched episode 2 yet, queue it up after this to see how improper output handling leads to XSS exploitation. It will deepen your understanding. For more insights like these, please like, comment, and subscribe, and share this episode with your colleagues. In episode 4, we'll tackle unbounded consumption, resource exhaustion, revealing how a lack of rate limiting and quotas can cause runaway costs, denial of service, and system failures. We'll discuss how infinite loops and token bursts can drain budgets, and ways to implement strict quotas and circuit breakers. Don't let your AI budget burn out. Join us next time for our infrastructure deep dive.